This video is called Truth 2030. The truth that you are a slave to the 1%. Interesting. Sounds like some Occupy Bernie Sanders kind of shit. So let's see if they correctly identify the problems that we're facing. This is, strap in, guys. I don't know how far we'll get into this one. It's 17 minutes long, but we might not be able to take all of this. God damn.
Hello friends, what I'm about to share with you will be affirming for some and shocking for others. As many of you know, I've been extremely dedicated to investigating what has been happening in the world.
Shoot, thank God their mix was way off there.
I understand why so many things have not made sense to so many of us. I've researched everything daily to look for answers and to educate myself. I've uncovered many things. What I'm sharing with you today is the biggest thing I have uncovered that proves COVID was planned and executed. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is an actual planned conspiracy. These are straight up facts right from the website of the people who planned this. It is right on the web in plain sight. But most people don't know it's even there, and most people probably won't understand the depth of it unless someone breaks it down for you, which I will try.
All right, break it down for us.
I feel my duty is to share what I have learned. I'm going to try and keep this simple. Take out any of my opinions, take out my emotions, and just stick to the facts, which is what is happening in our world and has been planned for decades. As we know, many inconsistencies have been coming out about COVID. Tainted tests, falsified numbers, manipulated stats, doctors and scientists speaking out, lockdowns that don't make sense, predicted numbers totally.
It's a whole bunch of bullshit right there. There's a lot to break down. So it's a novel virus. We didn't exactly know how it would behave at the beginning. So I wouldn't call it a lot of misinformation. I would call it recommendations changing as new information is incorporated. There's not been any reputable doctors speak the fuck out. You might have got some people in lab coats that are fucking like a pediatrician or something. You haven't got any epidemiologists speaking out, other than to say that the administration's response has been horrendous.
Wrong. We are all aware. It is also questionable how the virus originated. It is, however, evident 100% that there is a virus of some sort, and it is still a mystery who gets affected, who dies, and who doesn't. Although many of us in the health profession have theories about why this happens, this is not being disputed. Imagine if everything
us in the health profession trying to give themselves a false credibility
we thought we saw was not true. Imagine if we have been deceived and the media and the government convince you to think and feel in a certain way. Something to ponder for sure. But what I'd like to stick to the facts today. Everything I found here took me about 24 hours to research. I've been reading non-stop to figure this all out. Here are key points found in my research. Agenda 21, created in 1992, has been carried out by NGOs funded by foreign countries and groups.
Agenda 21 is a tired trope that the fucking conspiracy theorists haul out all the fucking time.
Like the Open Society Foundation.
Ooh, and George Soros. We're like fucking, where's Producer Dave from Echoplex Media? We're playing conspiracy bingo in here. We're gonna hit them all.
George Soros's and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. One major objective of Agenda 21 initiative is that every local government should draw its own local Agenda 21. Since 2015, Sustainable Development Goals are included in the newer Agenda 2030. The official name is the UN Agenda 2030 for Sustainable Development.
Ooh, sounds nefarious.
Agenda 21 programs in your local city or town. Go to your search engine, put in Agenda 21 and your city name, and you should be able to find a lot of the actual programs with Agenda 21. The United Nations Agenda 2030, adopted in 2015 and fiercely promoted and funded by the Gates Foundation, consists of 17 Sustainable Development Goals. It's also called...
Has any of this sounded, other than the scary music, has any of this sounded like it's not on the level?
The Green New Deal, to be achieved by the year 2030. Soros and Rockefellers are also funders here. Gates is also the largest private donor to the World Health Organization, which is a UN agency. Here is a list of the government entities and organizations where Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is listed as a partner. Okay, let's set the stage. Back in New York, USA,
Well, it's a lot better than the Koch brothers just funding misinformation constantly. You mean Bill Gates is putting his money towards something helpful? Good. After all the shit he did in the 90s and early 2000s, he probably should feel guilty and use a little bit of that wealth he created towards helping the planet.
June 13th, 2019, the World Economic Forum and the United Nations signed today a strategic partnership framework outlining the areas of cooperation to deepen institutional engagement and jointly accelerate the implementation of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. On the surface, that looks very good. It looks beautiful and amazing. It looks like everything we've ever dreamed of, right? But it was more than meets the eye, and one dissected reveals...
Put some ominous music under it and be like, yeah, there's more than meets the eye, and it seems kind of... seems kind of crazy.
Global government takeover of every nation across the planet, dismantling sovereignty, property rights, privacy, food systems, and more. The document reveals code words for a corporate government fascist agenda fueled by globalist corporations like Monsanto and DuPont. If you read through all this information and would like to discuss the pros and cons with me, I'm all for it. But today, I would like to stick to the facts, not opinions. Okay, next step.
Let's hear them. Where's these facts at?
The World Economic Forum was created to support Agenda 21, now called Agenda 2030. It was created in 1971, 49 years ago. Bill Gates is attached to both parties, the UN and also the World Economic Forum. In 2018, the World Economic Forum states, the multi-stakeholder approach defines the core of the 2030 Agenda and Sustainable Development Goals. We are all in this together. Wait a minute, does that sound familiar? Have we not heard this phrase being said over and over and over again since COVID started? We are all in this together.
Yeah, by stupid commercials, people that write ad copy, there's only so many phrases you can say. As someone who makes commercials and has done like the promos of reopening for COVID, like, there's only so many phrases I can put in that shit, and every goddamn company is wanting a promo about how they're responding to COVID. So you get like, in these trying times, we're all in this together, blah, 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 blah. Trite fucking overused catchphrases in marketing.
This is not a coincidence. On the surface, the website looks amazing, stunning, beautiful. All the words and mission statements we want to hear. It is an action plan to support and implement the UN Agenda 2030 for Sustainable Development. I implore you to sign up for alerts from this site. This way you can see the entire plan for global governance. What does that mean? It means the new world order where there is no borders, only one government.
Like, you know she's religious, right? All these conspiracy nut jobs are. And it's all about the new world order. Bree Creed, you still in here? Survey says.
Government and only one world. That's what this whole action plan and site is for. It is an extremely mind-blowing, comprehensive plan to change our entire world as we know it. Once you start going into this very in-depth website, you will notice many, many things. When you click on one link, there are...
We're 6 minutes into this.
When you dig deeper, there are more than 200 links per tentacle. It is never ending. It just keeps going, and everything is connected. Why? Because it is an entire comprehensive, meticulous plan for changing our entire world. No detail has not been addressed. I have literally already spent 4 hours on this site. researching, and I barely scratched the surface. And it all starts with the COVID page. The
Researching.
COVID page starts the journey of world globalization.
Survey says.
What you will see is that it's impossible for this crisis to be made only in the last 6 months. The sections on global governance and the fourth industrial revolution have been planned out for decades. One world, one government, no borders. The plan is for one government to have complete control of all of us. Artificial intelligence controlling our business, our food.
No, I don't think that's it at all. I think it's organizations like the UN. Okay, member states to the UN tend to not fucking declare war on each other. So having these international treaties are a good thing. Countries that trade with each other tend not to go to war. I don't think there's anything in these documents about giving up sovereignty. More like agreeing to something like the EU or the Eurozone, which was supposed to happen here in the US. If you guys don't know about it, we were supposed to, with the US, with Canada and Mexico, we're going to create the Eurozone that would have a currency that you could use. You could cross the borders openly, and you'd have a currency you could use in all the countries. That's not a bad thing in a interconnected global society. But hey, if you've got an ancient book that tells you that a one world government is bad, you're probably going to come up with some batshit crazy stuff to try to fight it.
Privacy and our freedom is to be abolished forever. I'm not going to argue if it's good or bad, because I know many of you will say it's good for the world. I mean, it has certainly been created under the guise of helping to eradicate the world's problems, particularly issues with climate. Discussing the merits, pros, and cons.
Yes, issues with climate need to be addressed by all countries on the planet. And one of the things that I will point to that the World Health Organization has done, like things like eradicate polio, that takes an interconnected effort worldwide in order to do. I'm for that. I am for eradicating polio.
Cons of this is for another conversation. Today I want to just stick to the facts. The global governance has been...
It keeps saying that, but what facts have you... So far, the facts is that there's a website that has a detailed plan and that there's a lot of information on it. That's the facts you've given us thus far, ma'am. So please, continue.
Planned. And if you go through this WeForum site very carefully, you will see it all for yourself. To be honest, it's somewhat fascinating. Years and years and years of elite...
Now, that's a rhetorical trick right-wingers are very fond of. Remember when, earlier in the year when we were doing impeachment? Yes, I sprung that on someone the other day and said, you know, impeachment was this year, right? It was in January. That's how we started the year off. But when the impeachment was going on, all the right-wingers are like, well, did you read the transcript? And I was like, yes. And then I would reply back with a picture of the transcript with my highlighted sections like, yes, this is the part that's problematic. Them saying research is the exact same thing. It's just a rhetorical trick. Oh, I did my research. No, you fucking
mastermind plotting and planning on how to take over the world come together on this one website. COVID is just the first step to get the ball rolling and a way to release all these plans contrived for world domination. A scared and divided world is easy to dominate. Crushing the economy and installing fear-based reactions is how you get an entire world to behave and start from scratch. All of the data and all of the videos throughout the site are updated daily. Supporting propaganda is published and released daily, written by those determined to take over the world and all 7.7 billion inhabitants. You have to be able to understand their feel-good language and read between the lines to know what is really being said. I've had to reread some things 10 times to truly understand what the bottom line was, or also to truly understand what they were.
Can we have an example? Give us an example of something reread 10 times and then come to a conclusion on, because I would like to evaluate it for myself. That's never going to happen.
Not addressing. Also, when you go through the site, Note how every single topic and circle is actually designed to look like a corona. This is not coincidence. This is because every single topic starts with the coronavirus and COVID. Look at then the subtopics. Remember, each subtopic has 200 plus more levels to go through. You do the math. Here are some screenshots to highlight key terms. Global governance means one government. Notice how they even wrote on the first line that nationalist backlash has made this difficult. That's the revolt by those who are awakening. You can blatantly see how this one government system affects all other topics and tentacles, and each topic goes down 200 levels. Look closely and you will see the interaction with 5G, anti-globalism, the Great Reset, transnational actors, civic participation.
So now we're going to use just a bunch of scary buzzwords that make idiot-ass right-wingers cream their pants. I had a boss one time. He was an engineer. And he was telling me about the dangers of 5G. And I'm like looking at him. What? Like, because it sounded like a crazy conspiracy theory. Now, I found out later that he was religious. And I'm like, okay. It all makes sense now. And also, engineers are the number one profession most likely to be a terrorist. I found that out later as well, so you can look that up. It is true. So while the man is really good at designing AV systems, he was a little batshit.
Participation, artificial intelligence, robotics, human cyborgs, and on and on. Question: if global governance is so good...
That was the same boss who one day told me I looked like a pirate, and I stopped him, and I'm like, do you really think I look like a fucking pirate? I say with my Fu Manchu, my bandana on, my long hair.
Why do they have to lie to us about it? I mean, if it is truly for the greater good of the...
What did they lie about?
Is there a better way of doing this than to cause death, pain, and destruction?
Whoa. We jumped from, hey, I've got this circle, and there's a whole bunch of information on it, to now they're lying to us. Where was this lie at?
They're lying now. What else will they be lying about? The complexities of this website are mind-blowing and nefarious. The Fourth Industrial Revolution and the Great Reset. Know these terms. They are the plan for the next step after COVID has ground the world to a halt. This is the plan. Here's a quote directly from their website. Using COVID to harness the power of revolution to change the economy. Characterized by a fusion of technologies that is blurring the lines between the physical, digital, and biological.
Now, there is a Vice documentary called The Third Industrial Revolution. I highly encourage you to go watch it. Now, it's talking about part of what she's referring to and getting completely wrong. If you watch that movie, you'll be like, huh, those are really good ideas. We really need to implement those.
Spheres. In its most pessimistic, dehumanized form, the Fourth Industrial Revolution may indeed have the potential to robotize humanity and thus to deprive us of our heart and soul. The Fourth Industrial Revolution will change not only what we do, but also who we are. It will affect our identity and all the issues associated with it. Our sense of privacy, our notions of ownership, our consumption patterns, the time we devote to work and leisure, and how we develop our careers, cultivate our skills, meet people, and nurture relationships. It is already changing our health and leading to a quantified self, and sooner than we think, it may lead to human augmentation.
Now, that's one of the best example I can give you about this. And like, I used to be very protective of my data. I just recently, like my home's a smart home. I can like, hey Google, turn my lights red. Oh, it didn't do it. Well, anyway, I've got there we go. So I've got the smart home going on now, and I was always really apprehensive about that. But one of the ways that we're going to be able to advance as a society is we're going to have to give up our data. Now, I would like some protections. I would like to be able to own my data and get something in return for it. But that's going to have to be done through legislation. But the best example I can give you of this is GPS. So 15 years ago, as someone who used to travel, I can tell you that GPS sucked. I would be riding down a road and tell me to turn somewhere, and then there's not even a fucking road there. 15 years later, it can tell you to the fucking second how long you'll be stuck in traffic. And the reason it's able to do that is because everybody else is feeding their data back up into the system. So one of the ways that we're going to be able to deal with pandemics in the future is we're all going to be hooked up, giving our health data into a system. It's going to be able to recognize pandemics. It's going to be able to recognize community spread. That's really cool in my opinion. But now there needs to be guardrails in place. That's why I am such a proponent of democracy. As we move into this new technology phase, it needs to be democratic so that we, the people, have control over it, not some fucking heartless corporation. That's why I want more democracy, not less. Nanomachines. I can't do it, guys. I'm done with this video. I can't watch any more of this bullshit.